Joining us now to discuss the political impact of these scandals that now engulf the administration, Congressman Ted Poe, who's on the Judiciary Committee as well as the Foreign Affairs Committee, also an executive member of the Immigration Reform Caucus. Former Senator Scott Brown, now a Fox News contributor. Gentlemen, great to have you with us. Congressman, let me turn first to your reaction to what is a straightforward contradiction on the part of two senators, Mark Udall and Ron Wyden, of the head of the NSA.
Well, it's not convincing to me that the NSA appropriately used even the Patriot Act with their broad approach of taking millions of phone records, trying to track down a terrorist or two, I think is overreaching, and it doesn't even follow the Patriot Act as it is. And now we have this issue of mega data where they can track and take down a person's location when the phone was used. I do not think that that is constitutional. I don't think they can do that under even the Patriot Act. And I've even filed legislation about 3 months ago to prohibit that unless a search warrant is taken. So I think it's overbroad, overreaching, not convinced that the NSA followed current law even.
And Scott Brown, as we're looking at the Washington Post and the Guardian with the blockbuster stories that began in the midst of following a two-day summit between President Xi and President Obama that effectively obliterated that summit from ever having occurred, at least as far as the media is concerned. Now both the Guardian and the Post are walking those stories back. Their allegations are being diminished to the point that it's starting to look like some haste here on the part of these two news organizations may have resulted in fouling up the story. What do you think?
Well, listen, you need to get your facts straight whenever you're reporting a story. Obviously, you know that. You've been doing it for years. But bottom line, getting back to what the Congressman was talking about, the Patriot Act was meant to obviously address terrorists, the information, the phones, the computers that we found from terrorists, and going after terrorists. It wasn't meant to be this, I did not support this broad sweeping attempt to get ordinary citizens' information and use it for some other reason. There's some real problems, and when it comes to what, listen, I know Senator Wyden and Udall, good guys, straight shooters, didn't agree with them on everything, but they call it like it is. It's very easy for General Alexander and anyone else to go down in the SCIF and get those secret briefings and find out exactly how these records are being used and what, if any, attempts to hurt us were thwarted. And we don't have that information, and there's a lot of unanswered questions here, and we got to get the facts straight. The American people deserve better. They deserve to know what their federal government is doing and what tools they're using to either monitor their safety or harass them.
Yeah, to what degree does it in fact disturb you both that there is a young man, 29 years old, apparently still in Hong Kong, making allegations about the U.S. Cyber attacks on Chinese facilities as he speaks to the Chinese media, and has basically accused the NSA, the federal government, of all sorts of civil rights horrors, which, by the way, to this point haven't been substantiated in any way. Yet it is remarkable the coincidence in his relationship to China. And it looks as though an institution, and that is the U.S. Congress, which, as we looked at the most recent polls, has the lowest regard imaginable on the part of the American people. And yet here we are watching what looks to me, I mean, there's a whiff of the Church Commission in all of this, as I hear a lot of clucking going on about going after the ne'er-do-wells in the military and in the intelligence community. I'm a little turned around on this one. Congressman, as Scott was saying, you're a straight shooter along with all those other folks. You tell me where am I wrong?
Well, Lou, let me just jump in as a former ranking member of Home. Attest firsthand the amount of cyber attacks we get from China, now the criminal elements around the world who want to take our work product and hurt us in any way, shape, and form they can. With regard to this young man, listen, first of all, they should have done a better job checking his his qualifications and security clearances and the like, and who was monitoring what he was doing. The fact that we have way too many contractors to start out is one problem, number one. The fact that he's in China and he's concerned about civil rights and people's rights. What, are you kidding me? I question his motives. Some people call him a hero. Some people call him a traitor. I think he could have handled it better if he had concerns about where our country was going with a lot of the things that they were doing.
Congressman, you get the last word here.
Well, it's obvious several things. One, let's look at the federal government's overall surveillance of American citizens. Concerned about that a great deal. We have to ratchet in the federal bureaucracies that are in charge of security to make sure that the Fourth Amendment constitutional rights of everybody are followed. That's Congress's responsibility. Now going to Snowden. We're still not sure about him as a person and whether or not he has actually committed crimes against the U.S., espionage crimes, in the sense that put Americans in danger who are out there working for the United States. That is interesting, as Senator Brown has said. He chose China to run to rather than some other country. So we will learn more about him, but people like him should have never gotten in the area where they got a top secret clearance. So maybe we ought to be screening the screeners a little better before they ever get to that position as well.
I guess in part, as we wrap up here, Congressman Scott, I mean, it seems to me we're learning a little bit about ourselves, too, because it seems to me the national media is ever so quick, and even some members of our government eager to jump on our intelligence community, even as we're talking about cyber attacks. That was supposed to be at the top of the president's agenda with President Xi, and suddenly now we're sort of we're eating our young, if you will, as a society out of some impulse that I frankly don't quite yet understand. But perhaps we will, and then we'll sure try in the days and weeks ahead.
Hey, Lou, I just need to say we need to give tip our hats to our intelligence community and the folks that are doing yeoman's work, keeping us safe. On the one hand, on the other hand, we need to have that check and balance and make sure that there aren't some bad apples like what's happening now, really distorting what we're trying to do and how we're trying to do it.
Scott, thank you very much. Scott Brown.
Thank you.
Ted Poe. Congressman, we appreciate you being with us as always. We have much more on these scandals.